Hey, what's up guys? This is Anthony from Anthony's Customs, and for this review, we are looking at the SH Figuarts Berserk Guts, Berserker Armor version. And people have been asking me, hey, are you going to review the new Berserk figures that are coming out? And I've been like, yes. But I have to tell you, this is one of those figures where I almost didn't review it simply because it's so incredibly unpleasant to have in my hands that I couldn't bring myself to do it sooner. It's one of the worst figures I have ever handled. There have been a few figures that I didn't want to review but did, then there have been a few that I actually didn't review just because they were so bad that I couldn't bring myself to do it, and this almost had that happen. But I felt an obligation to show you guys what it is. So, let's go ahead and get it off the stand and take a closer look. Before we look at the figure, let's go ahead and take a quick gander at my package. It's not bad, though it doesn't look like Figuarts packaging to me. I mean, it kind of does, but it doesn't go with any of the other ones that they've released, so it's just a little bit weird. Like for inbox collectors, you're not going to have this on your shelf to go with the other Figuarts packaging. It just looks a little bit strange, but it's not bad. It's perfectly fine for what it is. This pose isn't great for the side of the package. You can't really tell what's going on, but it's okay. I like the painting style artwork. This looks just like I would want it to, so it looks good on its own. I'm just saying, for those of you who keep your packages on display, might not be. This looks more like a Figma package, even though it doesn't really, because it doesn't have the Figma stuff. That's what it looks like. Okay, so there's the package. That's enough of that. Let's look at the figure. Oh man, I'm so not looking forward to this. Well, let's see what happens. All right, this guy, can you stand up straight for like 2 seconds, please? This guy stands roughly, let's call it 6 3/8 inches. That's gonna make him just shy of 16.5 centimeters. Here he is up against Darwin, almost the same size. Here he is up against Goku, though they went for an entirely non-shonen look, which is obviously the case. He's not a shonen character, but I mean, they don't look like they came from the same company, which is fine. I don't personally care, but I know a lot of people want to mix and match their figures. All of the shonen stuff is going to go together just fine. Definitely not this one. Scale-wise, it's fine, but style-wise, they are appropriate to their own source material. They don't go together, for those of you curious enough about that. Alright, so, the Figmas from forever ago of these figures, the Guts, the Berserk figures, they had plenty of problems, but they were still overall solid enough, especially at the time. And then Bandai got the license, releasing SH Figuarts versions. I'm thinking, oh boy, we're in for a treat, finally. I love Guts, that would be cool. And this is such a horrible figure. It's so bad. First of all, the cape, it's that same papery cloth material that Figma used, almost, only it's 2-ply, and you can see a wire in it, which looks ridiculous. I don't know how well that's going to show up on camera. I might have to mess with the lighting. Let's see. There, there's a fuzz stuck to it. You can see the wire going through it. It's so weird and ugly looking. And then they have all of this paint up here, but not along the frayed parts. The frayed parts are jet black, lots of gray lines everywhere else. It looks horrible. This cape is just horrible. Let me pop it off so I can review the figure without it, because it's so bad. And it counts as an accessory, but it's also an aesthetic problem. Can this piece be more annoying? Alright. Every part of this figure is infuriating. Yeah, his face can come off and make it easier, but that's infuriating also. Alright, so let's put his collar piece back on, which is not well executed at all. It barely stays on. It's falling off constantly as you're handling it. This knife that they made a separate piece, even though it has to be on, falls off constantly because it's just a straight peg. Alright, so let's talk about the aesthetic. What the flippin' heck is this proportioning? His arms are freakish. His forearms specifically, but his arms in general are so long. Oh my goodness. This figure is hideous. I can't get over how ugly this is. He's got really tiny spindly legs. His trunk is nothing. His torso is tiny. His arms are incredibly long. The sculpt is just ridiculously weird in that regard. Let's look at the detail. There's dry brushing and washing throughout. Some dry brushing, I guess, mostly washes. It's okay for the armor. It's very plasticky looking also, though. Like, all the brown looks really garbage. Really, really cheap looking. It looks really bad. The arms are okay. They have kind of like a painterly feel to them, the way they did the painting and the sculpt work. It's got a very stylized look, which I'm fine with. The faces, I love the faces. I think they nailed them completely. You'll see the other ones. The hair, I think they could have used a little bit more finesse on the white part because it doesn't look great, but the faces are wonderful. It almost reminds me of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure figure from Super Action Statue. They did the faces really well. But that proportioning and the overall plasticiness, even though they threw some washes on there, this figure looks terrible. And the cape looks even worse. I'll show you again. What is that? Why do they have these gray lines everywhere up here, but not along the torn parts? Terribly executed. Aesthetically speaking, this figure's hot garbage, especially for the price. 3 out of 10. The goofy ass arms, the terrible cape. It looks so plasticky despite the relatively large amount of paint on here. These brown parts look so bad. I hate it. Okay, moving on to the accessories. 3 faces. The one you already saw, which looks really good. Then you get the one where he's definitely smiling, and then the one where he's laughing in joy. Those are both really well done. Very well executed. For hands, he comes with the 2 relaxed hands on him in the package. Then you get a fist and gripping hand for his regular hand. Then you get 2 different gripping type hands for his robot hand. For his backpack thingy, for his pouch, for his crossbow thingy, you do get just the stumpy handle that pegs into the pouch. And then you get the actual replacement arm that replaces the whole forearm with the crossbow piece. That's pretty cool. It's a pain in the ass to get the hand in there, but you can do it. And then you do also get the replacement arm where it's just the cannon with the hand at the bottom. That's all pretty well done. I like that. All right, you do get his tomatillo, and then you get his sword. And his sword is awesome. There is no way to put it on his back. He's either holding it or it's not there. It's not anywhere. He cannot do anything with it. That's unfortunate. I don't quite understand. Maybe, whatever, that's fine. The sword is actually great. I love the way they did the sword. I think they should have dirtied it up a little bit, especially the gray wraps for the handle. There's no dirtiness to it at all. No blood, no dirt, no nothing. It looks like a brand new sword, but it's extremely well made. I like it. So accessory wise, 7 out of 10. It's a good enough spread. Here's my biggest problem. Swapping out the hands is horrible because the tiny little peg, it's very tiny, and the fist or the hands themselves, the holes have closed up. I don't know if that is from the annealing process or what, but there's a reason Figma puts pegs in spare hands when you're using this kind of peg. It doesn't work. There's no retention on the peg other than simply friction, and so they have the holes too small. Swapping out the hands sucks big time. And we still got a relatively small amount of accessories, probably because there's a million pieces of plastic on this guy that don't help him pose or look good, but we'll get into that. So yeah, accessories are okay. We're gonna take this piece of garbage off so that it's one less annoying thing. All right, let's move this also. His collar piece looks fine when it's on him. I've always thought it was a weird design. On an action figure, it's even worse because it just pops off all the time as you're handling the figure. Very frustrating. So let's get that out of the way. All right, one last thing I wanted to talk about before we get into that is they did add this part in here, which is very nicely done. Surprisingly clean. So good job on that. You can barely tell it's there, but it is there, so that is nice. I did say the heads look good, and that's almost the head part. Okay, so let's talk about articulation on this guy. I'll pop the face off so you can see. You can barely see, so there's not a whole lot of range up there, but we have a ball peg for the neck, which is not bad. And then this part is technically a double ball peg, I believe. Could be a single, it's hard to say. It technically has surprisingly good range, but it's a little tricky to use without the neck itself moving. Which isn't the worst thing in the world, because it helps make him look naturally posed. So I actually like the neck. The neck/head area is good for articulation. Now get ready for one of the, maybe the, like if you've seen the Jazzwares, or Jack Specific, whoever makes it, Master Chief, is it Jazzwares now? Yeah. Those knees on those figures are bad, but wait till you see this shoulder. It's like they tried to do a Figma and a Revoltech at the same time, and those are already bad, and they made it worse. What is this? These pieces are just connected with little ball pegs all to themselves, and they just get out of the way, kind of, but they don't really help in any way. This same thing. So the armor just kind of floats and moves a little bit. He technically has a butterfly in there that doesn't do anything. And then you get this ball peg, ball hinge combo with the world's most ridiculous looking shoulder joint that I've ever seen. The armor has tiny, like I said, little ball pegs, and it loves to just pop itself apart as you're posing him. So yes, he can rotate his arm. But you know what? So can every other figure. You don't have to do all this weird shit. Make this right here part of the chest armor. That's it. If you want a butterfly joint, put it under this plate. Let the whole shoulder area move with this piece right here, not the little one out here. It still has very limited range. For being this hideous, you would expect it would have good range, but it doesn't. It's just ridiculous. To raise his arm up, you have to separate his shoulder from his body. It's only held on by that one little peg stem right there. It looks so stupid. It's not good. This piece here should have been moving with everything else, not separated from it. Oh, somebody should be fired. Honestly, this is bad. Like, why? How? This shit is ridiculous. I'm done with it. I'm so sick of these companies doing stupid things that make no sense. What part of the anatomy is that? Bicep swivel. It's like 6 inches down from this shoulder because the goofy ass design they did. His bicep swivel is happening all the way down by his waist. His arms are so goofy, gorilla shaped long. It's so bad. I can't even put together proper sentences looking at this thing and thinking about it. The elbow joints they used are not even good joints. They came up with some kind of new half joint thing that's really weird and ugly, and he gets just better than 45, and his elbow is hideous. What is happening in the toy industry? This is all brand new design, and they designed it like ridiculously bad. I'll give him the torso. It feels like it's just some ball pegs and loose pieces of armor. It's finicky as hell, and it's loose, but it gets decent enough range. So it's whatever, I don't care. His pouches are on ball pegs. That's real helpful, great. All right, for the hips, get ready. That's it. He has birthing hips, and they don't go out to the side. What the heck? Holy crap! Going forward, it's okay. It's not bad, it's fine. Going back, that's all the range you get. Also, it's incredibly loose. This figure costs way too much to have any of these problems. Side swivel's fine. Double jointed knee is fine. Parts of it are very loose though. And then we have the ankles, which are really functional. You get really good range out of them. Love the ankles. They put a lot of thought into these and they work really well, but they're too loose. The joints aren't stiff enough to hold the figure properly. Toe joint, very nice. Ankles and feet are great all the way around, other than they don't hold the figure up. This figure is just ridiculous. And trying to get him to hold the sword is a nightmare because the little tiny peg, I'll just show you. Could they use a smaller peg? I honestly don't think it's possible. They used a micro peg. Why? There's no retention and not enough meat there for any even friction. They definitely could have made the peg bigger, but look, I'll show you what I'm talking about. Here's the gripping hand. You can see the peg, and then you can see the little tiny hole. That's clearly, it's just a hole, and it doesn't fit over the peg properly. Doesn't fit, so you're gonna have to heat it to wedge it on there. Good luck posing this guy with him holding his sword. Especially with these goofy ass shoulders. Like, okay, so let's say you want to have him with his sword up on his shoulder. 1, his elbow doesn't bend enough to allow it. 2, his wrist isn't going to have enough range. Also, here. That one probably, let me see if this is the only hand that, Yeah, they don't even fit properly on that little tiny ball. They're not sculpted well. The recessed part for the ball. I'll try to wedge this on so you can see. Look at the cutout. It's for a ball hinge that's like twice the size. Makes no sense. So anyway, what I was saying is, let's say you want to rest his sword up on his shoulder. He can't do it because of the joints here. But also, you have to look at this armpit. What the hell? Why? What's the point of getting this license and then just totally flushing it down the toilet? Bandai can make great figures. We've seen it so many times. This is like, holy shit, over-engineered garbage to the nth degree. I can't get over how bad it is. People told me it was really bad. I thought, come on, it can't be. People just like to tell me stuff's bad because they think I think everything is bad because it's my shtick, and it's not. I want everything to be good, but I'm gonna damn well call it out when it's bad, and this is definitely bad. Might it look good enough if you can figure out a way to hide his goofy-ass long arms and the ugly-ass cape and get him to hold the big-ass sword? Maybe, but just buy a statue at that point. This thing couldn't be less fun to handle. It's so floppy and wiggly and loose and just, oh, it's so bad. Articulation gets a 0 out of 10. No. 2 out of 10 for the ankles and feet. The ankles and feet are great, and the neck is pretty good. I'll give him that. But goodness gracious, I can't believe this is as bad as it is. This is up there at least as one of the worst SH Figuarts figures ever made, I think. It's so bad. It's so ridiculously bad, and I don't even know if I can show it to you enough for you to understand it without you having it in your hand, but I don't recommend you buy it to find out for yourself. It's really rough. Really rough, and if you have this figure, weigh in down below in the comment section. Let me know, am I crazy? Or am I saying exactly what you feel and that people who don't have it won't know until they do, but don't buy it, so just take our word for it. It is that unpleasant of a figure to handle. It's bad. And I love Guts as a character. Any big sword guy, I like it. But not this one. What is that? Look how long his arms are. Okay, I'm done. Alright, so there it is, guys. Again, let me know what you think in the comment section below. And if you haven't subscribed, you might want to. I have new videos almost every single day, and thousands already on the channel. So make sure you come back for all of that. In the meantime, keep collecting.